आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नः प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीं तनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षं मङ्गलद्वयं निगमशाकिशिखा प्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनिग्रहं विघ्नाद्रिभेदशतधारधुरन्धरन्नः सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. So this is the positive psychology session. Since we have started speaking about the Omkara Japa, we will further see. It is important to understand uh, the impact of chanting as such, or Japa as we say, on our mind, that is on positive psychology. So we have already understood what auto suggestion is. We have already understood that there needs to be a repetition of a sankalpa. But for that to happen, a certain belief must be made. That is, when I'm thinking about a certain thought, let us say, for example, I am Brahman, that has to be repetitive so that it registers in the subconscious mind, and then the changes will start happening accordingly. So, in that sense, chanting is also very popular when it comes to the Western world as well. Their affirmations work. They call it affirmations, thinking positively, saying a statement which is framed in a positive manner repeatedly to bring about that positive change. We do it through mantra chanting. There again, the problem is that it used to be very effective. Now it is not very effective because the meaning of that mantra needs to be understood. Like, for example, when I'm saying Soham, Soham chanting is very effective if a person understands what that Soham depicts. What is the total meaning of that? Omkara, Pranavavada. Without understanding what Omkara is trying to say, we cannot enter into the whole arena of chanting Omkara, because we'll just be saying one thing or the other. On a more mental state, it can be used to focus our consciousness or focus our concentration to a particular point. But what after that? So if we go back to the concept of Tattvamasi, we understood the padartha, then we understood the vakyartha, and then contemplation on the um, paraspara anvaya, padanvaya of that particular statement starts us to go on a metaphysical level. But here what happens is, if we don't understand what Omkara represents, what is that concept of Pranavavada, without understanding that, when we start doing it continuously, we will not get as much benefits out of it as we need it. Like, for example, when I'm saying an affirmation, oh, I am, I have potential. Simple affirmation test. I have potential. I have potential. Because I am able to understand the words I have potential, my mind starts to react in that way. That means I will start facing challenges. I will start more confidently, that is. Then I will start to experience things in a more positive way. I will start accepting things in a more positive way because I'm not scared of it anymore. So the negative associations will go away because I'm able to understand it. But when we talk about any mantras, like bija mantras, for example, when I'm talking about Om Gam 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 Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha, this is a bija mantra. Without understanding how that came about and what energy we are trying to invoke, when I'm talking about Ganapati, the deity, what kind of energy am I trying to invoke through that bija mantra? If I don't understand, then it will only work on a superficial level, where that particular chanting will obviously focus. It will bring about a focus on strengthening my mental state. It will bring about a positive mood change also, but it will not give me a spiritual evolution. So that needs to be understood in terms of Pranavavada. Now, because we are talking specifically about Omkara Japa, in the next coming Samskara sessions, we will see what is that Pranavavada first, and we will experience Omkara Japa in the positive psychology sessions for about 3 or 4 until we go towards the end of the Omkara concept, Omkara Japa concept in the Sri Rama Gita. We will continue doing that. But now, on a more basic level, when we talk about chanting, how important is it for positive psychology? So, chanting can help us with something called as positive association. Let us say I'm associating something positive within me, or something that brings about a positiveness within me. I've already depicted that. Then I keep taking the, like, for example, the name Ram. I'm scared of something, so I've already associated Ram to be a very powerful name, like how Hanuman did. So I keep doing the chanting of Ram Nam. So what happens? That name, it starts to bring about the change within me. It means it tries to comfort me. When I'm anxious, when I start chanting Ram Nama, I start giving out a positive, it starts to reduce my anxiety, and it tries to bring about a positive change within me. So that is one thing. So it reduces stress and anxiety. Then it also, the speciality we have seen when it comes to a japa is, when maybe everybody has heard about Mirabai. Her chanting took it to another level of Krishna Nama japa, where it is not just reducing the negative effects, it is also boosting the positivity. That means the experience of Ananda, the experience of Ananda, that positivity. And sometimes we just get up and we have a splendid day because we are in a very jovial mood. Nothing can ruin our mood. We are singing, we are humming, we are basically in a very good positive disposition. So that experience through a particular japa, it is only through associative memory itself, because we are associating something positive with Krishna or Rama. So that way also chanting can boost our mood. It can boost that positive state of mind, disposition. Like I already said, we've already talked about positive symbolism, how looking at something itself can make us happy. Like we are looking at babies, or we are looking at puppies, or etc., etc., whatever it may be. So we are associating certain amount of positivity, that enjoying Krishna Nama, that itself is Krishna consciousness. So that is the reason Madhuram Akhilam Madhuram, Madhuradipati, that experience, it's not through words, it is through bringing about that experience of Madhuram. When we'll take a simple example where I'm tasting honey, I feel a certain positive disposition, associating that positive disposition with a name rather than with a physical stimulant. That is also possible. So just talking about Krishna's name can make us happy. Just talking about something so profound can make us happy. So that positive disposition, it can be brought about. So it can boost the mood, and it enhances our awareness. That means I am no longer in a particular state of mind. That means I'm not in that reality which is guiding the whole world right now. I'm in a certain particular displacement where I'm looking at it from a positive perspective. How things are going around. Time is set to move in a stream. So I'm going around, I'm a part of that. But now, because I'm involved in that chanting, I have come out of that stream and I'm looking at everything pass by. That experiencing that can also be done. Every morning, ISKCON usually advocates for 16 rounds of 108 Hare Rama Hare Krishna Japa. Imagine a person doing 108 counts itself is so much, but 16 rounds of that is huge. So it doesn't take much time. It should start at a small level, 1 round, then 3 round, then it has to reach 16 level. Otherwise, we'll get distracted. It has to be absorption by gradual activity. It cannot be immediately, oh, today I'm going to sit and I'm going to do 16 rounds of 108 counts of Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Japa. That will not happen. I don't think we can even finish one mala in that sense. It has to be slow. It has to be gradual, because absorption should happen at 3 levels. First, at the physical level, that is at the layer of uh, the words, understanding words. Hare, Hare is to take away. Take away what? All my positive apprehensions. Krishna, the complete total profoundness of the universe, the darkness that involves in the universe, and the only light of enlightenment we see. Rama, beautiful imagery that is so captivating that we cannot look anywhere. Understanding the words is the physical level. Mental level is to understand Vakyartha. Padartha we did, Vakyartha now we have to understand. Then contemplation on the Paraspara Anvaya, that is the Gudhanvaya. Not just looking at Krishna as a deity or Rama as a deity, looking at the deeper meaning. What does Krishna indicate? What does Rama indicate? Krishna indicates pure love. So understanding that at a that substratum level, the third level is evolution at a spiritual level. So it takes a lot of efforts, but chanting can be initiated at very it doesn't need any some people take mantra diksha, but unless we don't have that, we can take up any kind of mantra and we can start initiating it, and it will have an effect on it. It is due to repeated chanting of Gayatri mantra that Brahmarshi Vishwamitra was able to realize the form of Gayatri Devi. He was the first one to see it. The Upadesha to him was given to by Maharshi Vasishta itself. But the first one to see the deity in her form and realize the form of Gayatri Devi through chanting of Gayatri mantra, it was Brahmarshi Vishwamitra. So that absorption is at very high levels. So it brings about self-awareness, and then we become namra, we become a sense of gratitude becomes, because we are looking at somebody so profound, an energy that is bigger than us. So we automatically become gratituous towards it. And then it promotes that prajna, that mindfulness. You already said understanding prajna is not that difficult. Cultivating mindfulness is not difficult. We just don't need to judge, not dwell on any thought. Allow the mind to flow. It actually becomes a reservoir where all the different data, all different information starts to collect to it. Automatically it will come. But we shouldn't judge or we shouldn't dwell on any thought. If we do that, then we will not flow. So we will cultivate with this continuous chanting. It helps us. There are different ways of chanting. Mostly in to cultivate these kind of chanting, we have 3 different kinds of mantras also. First, we saw the Mangala Shlokas we have seen. Mangala Shlokas we have experienced in the first part itself, associating some Ananda Prada Mangala. So associating something that brings about a positive. And these are action associated. The second kind of chanting can be with respect to Sahasranamas, a deified chanting. That is, we start looking at a deity. That deity starts to embody all the positivity that we need, and therefore we dwell on his thought only. Like, for example, I'm chanting Vishnu Sahasranama. Now, how should this is a very complicated process. When I'm chanting a Mangala Shloka, I don't need much about it. The focus is purely on what I want to accomplish. Like, for example, Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. I'm praying to Saraswati for what? For the sake of Vidyarambha. So there the focus is specifically on the task that I want to accomplish. It is more directed towards that. But when it comes to something like Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, etc., there the thought is to be within the deity itself. That is to find everything that we want within the deity itself. So therefore, there we have a Dhyana Shloka. And the Dhyana Shloka must be enjoyed. That is, we must imagine that. Kshiro Danvat Pradeshe, we have to imagine that. Kshira Sagar, we have to imagine that. Shuchimani Vilasat Saikater Muktikanam, so many beautiful things. Bhuvpada Yasyana Vyadasura Nilas Chandra Surya Uchanitri. Imagine him in that form. Only after the dhyana shloka is completed, then we start seeing him in different forms. If you're doing Shamala Dandakam also, Manikya Veena, Upalalayantim, Madalasa, Manjula Vagvilasa, understanding the meaning and imagining Matangi in that form. Mahendra Neeladyuti Komalangim. Why are they mentioning such details of her complexion? Because we need to imagine her first. Before I start with Shamala Dandakam, I have to first imagine her in that way. I have to imagine her sitting over there with that Shuka, with that Pashankusha, Pushpabana Haste. All that I have to imagine. In her, all her glory, I have to imagine. Then I start, it is like I imagine, I start with the dhyana. This is for Sahasranama chanting. I first imagine the deity. And then to the deity, I'm giving the names. Oh, you are Matangi, you are Lalita, you are Shodashi. The same way, I've imagined Vishnu as the whole universe. After I imagine him as the whole creation, then it starts. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro. That is the starting. Because I have imagined, that is what I have done. I have imagined the whole creation within you only. So therefore, obviously, Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro. Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Then we start giving him the different names associating. Because this world is of Akhyata. There I start giving him names. But what is he entirely? He is entirely our existence, and therefore I have to imagine him first. That is where I'm able to connect with him. If I don't do that, then it is misdirected. So when it comes to these Sahasranama chanting, first was Mangala Shloka chanting. It is not, it is Kriti Hetu. That is some karya I have to accomplish. Therefore, I'm invoking a certain particular positive energy that is required for me. I cannot sit and write with the energy required if when the energy I have is that of a runner, of an athlete. It requires more Rajasic Tattva. When I have to sit and write, I need to have more Sattvic Tattva. Therefore, my invocation is very tailor-made to the work that I want to accomplish in Mangala Shlokas. When I'm doing Sahasranama chanting, there is no kriyas involved. I am not chanting because of any other. I'm not chanting for any other reason. I am not chanting for work-life balance. I am not chanting for promotion, or I am not chanting for some other task that I want to accomplish. No, Murta Tattva. That is, in manifested life, material life, I cannot want anything. So what am I wanting here? I want to connect with the deity itself. Therefore, when I start chanting that deity, for that deity, Lalita Sahasrama, Lalita Ambika, I imagine her. Sindura Aruna Vigraha. Sindura Aruna Vigrahan Trinayanam Manikya Maulis Phurat. Imagine the whole beauty of that. Manikya Maulis Phurat. Taranayaka Shekharam Smitamukhim Apina Vakshoruham. So the dhyana shloka of any Sahasranama is extremely important. And we need to realize it in that way. We need to first imagine, when I'm saying Vishnu Sahasranama, first, when I'm doing dhyana shloka, we need to close our eyes and we need to imagine Vishnu in that way. His all the cosmos, Vishnu on his Sheshashayana. Imagine him as the preserver of worlds. Brahma coming out of his Nabhi, giving birth to different kinds of worlds. Such a beautiful picture. We get absorbed in that. Then we start to chant Sahasranamas, because he has manifested that way. That is the point of it. This is the second type of mantra chanting. Third type of mantra chanting is a little more advanced, where only bija mantras are taken into consideration. Even for a deity, also, it can be for a deity, but on a longer run, the deities don't matter anymore because we tend to merge with that particular energy forms. We say deity forms because there is akara that we have given, but we start to merge with that energy. So it can be Soham. Soham is mostly connected with Shiva. It can be Om, Pranavavada. They are complete. Akara must get absorbed by the whole cosmos. It can be Gam, Dakara, Ganapati Stotra. So there are different bija mantras associated with different kinds of energies. So that bija mantra chanting, it becomes important. I mean, most people, bija mantra chanting is not initiated on our own. It should be through a guru. The other two are fine, but bija mantra chanting is not done without getting the initiation, mantra diksha from a guru. A guru decides what is the proper energy for us based on our discipline, and then he gives the upadesha for that, and based on that we start doing it. Otherwise, it doesn't work out as intended. So that initiation must be through a guru, bija mantra chanting. But harmless chanting there are around 7 bija mantras that are okay for everybody, regardless of our disposition, that is our mental, psychological, and spiritual disposition. Some 7 mantras are for everyone, and there are certain mantras that are very well suited. If nobody understands that, what they can do is Gayatri mantra is also a bija mantra that everybody can chant. So like that, there are some mantras that can be chanted by everybody. Other than that, specific mantras of specific deities the upadesha must be from a deity, so from the guru. So that must be kept in mind. So these kind of chanting, what does it ultimately do, positive psychology wise? That repetition will initiate absorption gradually, but it initiates absorption. And it should be started at small intervals only. It shouldn't be like we usually take 108. We start, if that is also too much, then we can start from 21, 54, 108. Any mantra that we are taking, repeated chanting of that. And then it can be multiplied like that. So it should begin with small things, and it should expand slowly. It should expand, and it should be regular. You should make a habit about it. I've seen many a times where the devotees of ISKCON, they bring about their rosaries, japamala, and they use lotus beads. And wherever they sit, they don't waste time. They start chanting. So it should be regularized. It should be regularized that way. You will not find them getting disturbed anything. They will move around, but they are so engrossed in it, they will not let go of their chanting. That is the concept. So that must be, and it should not be changed. That is one other thing. So once I've started with Gakara chanting for Ganesha, it should not be that today I'm doing that, today tomorrow I'm doing Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, the day after I'm doing one more for Shodashi. That will not work. It should be with one particular kind of mantra, and I must stick with it. What mantra suits us also, it depends. Sometimes the effectiveness of the chanting is not equal for all the different bijaksharas. Mostly there is something called as nakshatra gayatri mantras. Nakshatra gayatri mantras is that when we are born, the moon is in a certain lunar mansion, nakshatras, constellation. So that is called our birth nakshatra. That birth nakshatra is actually guided by a certain deity. That deity is invoked. There are 27 nakshatras. So each of the deity has a certain Gayatri mantra. Each of them have. So that can be taken. That is a safer this thing, instead of trying with any common thing or something. Sometimes it does not work for us. That is very much suited to us, and it's a very easy way of looking at it. So if we know our nakshatra, then we can find out what is the Gayatri mantra for that lord of that nakshatra, and then we can start chanting. That is also possible. That is also a very safe way of doing it. So chanting, it must, we must stick to that. We must stick to that mantra. It should not change. It should be habitual. It will gradually increase. If you are making an effort of even 1 or 2 minutes every day, that 1 or 2 minutes will expand on its own. We will get absorbed in that. And what is the output of this? That positive state of mind, our dispositions changes. That means we become disassociated with the material conflicts of life. Nothing starts to affect me as it used to affect me. Some bad news, it has happened. So there is more acceptance coming about over there. And it enhances that compassion. So there is a change in the way we are looking at it. So there are three ways of chanting, and all three ways, it usually leads to the highest form is the Bija Mantra chanting. So all three of them must lead to it. If that is not possible, then chanting in itself, that is when we are talking about chanting Bhagavad Gita, chanting Vishnu Sahasranama, chanting some other thing. Repetition and giving time to it actually makes a difference. It does bring about a change in that mind. And we have to slowly start it, we become more inquisitive towards the knowledge which is in that. Like when I say Bhagavad Gita, there is a huge ocean of knowledge. So when I'm chanting Bhagavad Gita, first time I'm chanting it for because I learned chanting. Second time I'm chanting it because I become proficient at it. Third time when I'm chanting, I'm understanding the words better. Fourth time I'm chanting, I'm understanding the concepts better. So like that, every time we chant, there is a repetition, even with one chapter also. Take Bhakti Yoga or Purushottama Yoga, smallest 20 slokas we start chanting with that, then it the meaning becomes profound for us. What I understood at the first chanting, meaning that I realize from the sixth or the seventh chanting is entirely different. So it should be repeated. So chanting on its own has its merits in invoking a positive state of mind. So positive psychology, it is a very important thing. Next few sessions, we will see Omkara chanting, and we will understand the concept of Pranavavada. As this we end this session. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।